no gas in it.
Okay, we're back on Ramblin' Park.
I had a video last week, but both me and Joe had life take the wheel for a little while. It steered us right into a couple of ditches, but we'll just call it a character building experience.
Well, a ditch is about the only place you didn't wind up in, you know.
Yeah, a lot of people will think that the bus will be a lot better off in a ditch, but we did manage to make it all the way. We're back with regularly scheduled Ranwin Park, soon to be on the Joe the Mountain Jedi channel. We've been threatening it for a while, and by the time this video comes out, it should be ready.
Yeah, I finally took the plunge. I'm learning the nerdy YouTube side of things. So guess what, folks? We're going to do our own thing. No, we're not breaking up the band, I promise. But it got to the point where it was something that needed to happen.
Joe's driving over an hour to come out here, and if he wants to do a little bit of work and recording after work, well, 10 hours of work, an hour drive here, an hour back home, it just don't make no sense. And since Joe is now giving away old Barnacle Boy back here, the Ironhead, to one of his patrons, there's a little bit of an expectation that it'll get done in a timely manner.
Yeah, I mean, you guys on the Patreon, you already know, you've already read about it, heard about it. If you're not on the Patreon, go check it out. You do not have to spend one plug nickel to be entered to win this bike. This is something that's going to be exclusive to members of my Patreon. Everybody that's out there that's kicked in to help us move forward with stuff like this, keeping old bikes alive and out of the graveyard. Y'all, I greatly appreciate it. You have no idea how much that's helped and how much it's allowed us to be able to do. So, if you want to get in on it, go ahead and sign up on the Patreon. Check me out over there, okay?
In fact, thank you, patrons. We're currently recording this on a camera that Patreon bought for Joe.
Yeah, and you guys know me, all right? I'm a cheap ass, all right? So I bought a bunch of cheap shit. Now, I ain't gonna lie. Some of it was a turd. Some of it worked out pretty good. Some of it we're still working the kinks out of. So I'll fill you in to let you know what goes on and how it all shakes loose at the end of it all, okay? If it's a piece of crap, I'm going to call it like it is. Hey, this is a piece of crap.
Yeah, that's why we don't get a lot of stuff sent to us.
Yeah, no joke, right? The pullback risers from TC Bros that we just happen to have laying around the shop here, those don't exactly work because it sets the handlebars so far back to you, it makes you feel like you're doing this all the time with the handlebars up in your chest and your butt's hanging out over the rear wheel. So we come up with these Rox risers, and they're a 4-inch riser, and they go onto a standard Harley top clamp riser. What these are is they're a 4-inch offset riser, but it gives you the ability to not only offset the bars up, but also offset them forward or back with a locking spring. So we're going to throw those on there and see how this works out. Okay, so I guess I got to undo all the shit that I already did. Such is life. Now that I got all my ducks in a row, well, let's be honest here. My row looks more like a damn condom. Hey, so at the end of the day, it's basically off with the old and back with the older. I promise I'm not talking to myself, okay? Touched in the head, but not quite that much. Beloved wife unit is out here hanging out with me in the garage today. Wife unit she's not camera shy by any stretch of the imagination, but she would prefer that she retains her anonymity. So, I got to respect that. What I got to do before I do anything else, I got to turn on a fan, man. It is hot. Totally not a shameless product plug. By the way, I'm going to brag on the wife unit a little bit. This is what she does as a hobby. And she is very, very good at it. And I am just tickled as shit and proud as hell of what she made for me. Because that is all starting out. We got to figure out exactly where we're going to plan on putting these things. And this part's a little fiddly. You got a whole lot of real estate to work with. I don't know if the camera picked that up or not, but that little that's a sign that says danger, Will Robinson. That means stop now. Yeah, we're going to quit right there before something goes clink, because we do not like bolts that turn themselves Bluetooth. Okay, so there's that, and we will figure out just exactly where we want them whenever we get the bike on the ground and our ass on the seat. I'll admit I was completely off page and unprepared for doing this, because honestly, brain fart, 2 weeks out of pocket. I forgot to grab something I told myself, hey self, bring with you because you need it. Well, guess what? I ain't got it. So this is not the way that I normally do bars. The next set of bars that I do, I'll show you guys how I do them. I got to have something where I can fish the wires down through the inside of the handlebars. So Romex to the rescue. This is why it's a pain in the ass using a piece of stiff wire to fish down through handlebars to try to get wires pulled back up through them. Everything snags on everything. And everything's stiff, and it doesn't like making a bent. Next set of bars I do, I'll show you some of the tricks I use, because it makes life so much easier. Think of it as low-effort plumbing. So what I want to try to do here, we're going to take the end of that wire that's stiff and sharp, and we're going to take it, and we're going to put a little curve to it, just to make it round to where it doesn't reach out and grab the inside of the handlebars every time we turn around, and see if that makes it go down through there a little bit easier. Also, if you bend a little bitty leaf in it, kind of like that, it makes it a hell of a lot easier to tie your wires on to pull them back out through the bars whenever you're trying to feed them in. There we go. Grab that guy, pull him all out. Now we're going to make a loop on the other end of this to where we got something to tie our wire to. Believe it or not, yes, I do own a pair of wire strippers. I'm just too lazy to go over there and grab them right now. Tape. We need tape. Knew I had a new roll of this stuff laying around somewhere. Slight sidebar here, kids. Everybody, I'm sure, has had to peel off black electrical tape after it's been stuck on something for a couple, 3, 4 years, 6 months, whatever. It doesn't really seem to matter, but down here in Florida, it just happens a whole lot quicker because basically, you know how that stuff gets slimy, gooey, it leaves that residue. Just, I don't want to freaking touch it because it's gross. I hate that. I mean, it's like mechanical herpes. I found this stuff a while back, and what this is this is a cloth type of fabric tape. A lot of people may know it as gaffer's tape, but the thing is, this is actually a woven fiberglass cloth with a damn good adhesive on the backside of it. It doesn't stretch at all. And if you got to make a curve in something, you got to plan it out a little bit more. But the cool thing is, this stuff will lock down on top of itself and also on a wire bundle with a vengeance. It doesn't come loose. It doesn't dissolve and fall off everywhere. But the best part of it is it does a real good job as far as protecting the wires against abrasion, rubbing against things, stuff like that. And it doesn't leave the goo on it. It doesn't turn into some kind of primordial ooze after it sits out in the sun for a couple of months. Really, the only drawback to this stuff is you can't just pinch it with your thumbnail and break it off like you can regular electrical tape. You actually got to have a decent pocket knife or a razor blade handy, but it's a small price to pay for all the problems that it solves. And whenever you're doing this, you don't need a ton of it. You just got to get a couple of wraps on there to where it'll secure your wires and hold them in place while you pull them down through the handlebar. Here, let me grab you guys and maybe a little bit closer. I want to show you this. Now, if you notice, the way I've got this taped up and everything, I've only got, an inch or so of tape on here, but you see how I got these 3 sprigs of wire sticking out past the tape? There's a reason for that. Is you take 1 or 2 wire strands and you bend them back over like that and put a wrap of tape on them. That way it locks them in, and unless you just really yeehaw Conan it, you're not going to pull your pull wire off of the wires you're trying to get down through the handlebars in case you hit a snag. We don't want to tighten that stuff up just yet. Right now, I just got it a little bit more than snug hand tight just to hold it in place, because we still got to move everything around, and we still got to doctor all of our wiring here, because we got some ugly down here on the end where some talentless hack other than me did the whole talentless hack thing. This is the ugly I was talking about right here. All these right here, that's where somebody has done a really, 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 really bad job of splicing in. They tried to do good, but man, they got cuts in the wire here and there. It's naked, it's exposed. They ain't got near enough shrink tube on it where they made their splices. Some of it, shrink tube, it didn't shrink enough. I guess the shrinky dink factor wasn't that high that day. It all just kind of slid out of place, kind of like this. So I can just pull that right off there. I'm not going to get too wrapped up about shrink tubing all the way up into the hand controls. Normally, that's what I do. But on this bike right here, we're only using about half of these wires because we're not using e-turn signals or anything like that. We just got to make it run. What I am going to do is these lousy solder joints that they've got here. They don't really have that great a penetration or flow on their solder. And it's got a big blob there. So we're going to clip out all the damaged crap. But more importantly, we're not going to do this, because they got a splice there, and then they got a splice there 4 inches away. But what we are going to do is when we come back in and sister into all this to repair it, we're going to stagger where those splices are in the wire run. That way, when we do put shrink tube over it, it doesn't look like a snake had just swallowed a golf ball. By the way, no flamingos were harmed during the manufacture of this article of clothing. So we got all of our crap there. We just got to get some screws to hold our crap there. If I remember right, it's these 2 right here, but I'm having to dig into the memory bank because it's been a while. I'm going to avoid some tragedy here because these things were kind of reluctant to come out, kind of reluctant to go back in, and they got a healthy heaping dose of funk and schmooze on them. So we're going to put a little bit of oil on these things just to kind of slick things up and encourage them to go where we want them to go. Think of it as a slightly more socially acceptable and somewhat more refined version of the old Hawk Tuck. Hope she hadn't got that copyrighted yet, or else I'm going to get sued. So,
Wonder if everybody did.
Yeah. We took something wholesome, and it's going to be wholesome to some people, but not wholesome to others. That's got to be some kind of a cover that's in there. I hope it is, or else these things are going to suck.
Does that come off with them LEDs in there?
Well, it's got to come off to be able to put a bulb in it, I would think.
The idea is that we were going to get these old school headlights, because me and Joe both grew up on the dirt bike kid, as I'm sure a lot of you guys watched it.
Well, let's throw an LED in it real quick and see how much gets dispersed and see how much gets dismissed. Now, it comes with genuine old school Radio Shack wannabe switch. How many 1980s era four-wheel drives have you seen with that thing hanging underneath the dash, or multiples of them hanging underneath the dash?
Not as in bolted, but just hanging a few wires.
Yeah, well, I took the time to put them in the dash, but I had a few in the old Desert Runner back in the day. Remember the old 80s era Nissan Desert Runners?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the old red, white, and blue Captain America truck. Yeah, I had one of those things, man. Legitimately, I did not know that was a factory-built truck when I bought it. You know, whenever I bought it, it had a rod knock in it, and I bought it for $1,200. And I was like, yeah, cool truck, I'll fix the motor and drive it. Well, anyway, 2 months after I bought it, it was an actual thing that Nissan had built. You know, this is before I'd ever been on the internet, okay? I mean, I'm sorry. Back then, I was a bridge troll, Luddite, whatever you want to call it. This is back when everybody thought dial-up was fast, okay?
They probably weren't worth anything. It's only just...
No kidding. I've been keeping an eye on that stuff because I am actually truck shopping right now. And that stuff has blown up. On the truth here.
Ooh,
Well, it's brighter.
that made a difference.
What's the beam pattern look like is what I want to know. Well, the way we're going to set these up, we're going to have one on for low and both on for high. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll roll with it. I mean, the audience wants to see purple dots. Every one of the moments where it feels like you're trying to stuff 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound sack, set these little guys aside just for general health and welfare. Knowing my luck, my clumsy ass will slam dunk one of them on the floor. With as much as we wound up changing on the front end of this thing, hand controls, lights, blah, 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 most of the original wiring connectors are pretty much useless now, especially considering they were designed to go up inside the original headlight bucket. So what we're going to do is we're going to abbreviate them. There. Give it the big step. I know it usually requires an appointment. Remember, we had to schedule ours like a month in advance. Stop laughing at me. I know I'm goofy looking, but God, he's always making fun of me. Gonna go. It fit. So the reason I'm putting myself through all this frustration and aggravation on this stupid clutch cable is because this is a don't give a damn if it's ugly type scenario. We ain't building this thing to be pretty. That's kind of the intent behind it, because this thing's got to lay low. We don't want anybody looking at this thing because we don't want anybody thinking that, it's going to do anything. Back in yay olden hot rod days, that was called a sleeper. You know, I don't remember that clutch cable being crispy crunchy like that. And it shouldn't be, because that's bad. Teaching moment. Ow! Piece of crap is broke. Old bike shit, man. And whoever it is out there that's taking these clutch cables on the old style Harley cable, it's got the barrel lug on the end with the pin with the notch in it. Whenever you turn these things around backwards like this, I hate you. Okay? I know that's what the book says to do, but come on, folks. That does not have to be there. There's no way that thing's going to come out on its own. If it does, you got other problems. But this makes life so friggin' miserable when you've got to try to dig one of these things out of here. Stop doing it, especially when they're rotted in like this one was. Normally, I have a little cable luber attachment, special tool, hoodookie, whatever you want to call it. And you guys probably seen me using it on the build series that we did with Hen's Teeth, with the Kawasaki Eliminator. You know, you just take the cable loose, you slip it over there, clamp it down, take the red straw from your favorite lubricant of choice. Keep it clean, y'all. My mama watches these videos. You take that straw and you put it up in there and you squirt it, and what it does is it pressurizes lubricant that goes down the cable to help clean it, help flush it out, and also get all the grunge and funk out of it. That's not real practical on Harley cables because they're so freaking big around, especially their clutch cable. So here's a way around that. Oh yeah, that thing is nasty, like bad nasty. I can feel it dragging in that housing, something terrible. What you want to do is pull the cable out, where it's got a little bit of a gap in it. Doesn't have to be a whole lot. That's not fitting on there all that great. Not real happy about that, but it is what it is. So take you a piece of fuel hose. Doesn't have to be real long, 4 or 6 inches long. That's plenty enough. Take it, slip it over there. Stop snickering. That's the average. According to science, it's hell being married to a wise ass. Slip it over the cable, and it's going to be a snug fit, so you got to give it a little shove. And then transmission fluid, any kind of light lubricating oil, 3-in-1 oil, WD-40, whatever. Take it, fill the hose up with it, and in this case, we're using our homebrew penetrating oil. Put it uphill, and then gravity does the rest. Walk away, do something else. Capillary action will bring that lube down the cable and all the way down here to this end, while you're off doing whatever, that brings it down in there to where it frees you up to do other stuff. And also it gets lubed down in the cable to where, it needs to be and gets all the funk out of it. And you may need to come back and, put a little bit more in that hose every so often just to make sure you're getting it all the way down here at the bottom and everything. But that's an easy way to do it at the house. I've even taken the corner of like a plastic Ziploc bag and snipped just the corner of it off, and then slide the cable up through the bag, take a zip tie, put it around the bottom of the baggie just to tighten it up and seal it on there, and then just hang the thing on the wall with a little bit of oil in there. Let it sit overnight. Gravity does the rest of it. Not even 5 minutes, we already got clean lube coming out of the bottom of that cable. I'm gonna leave it up there and let it run its course. I gotta get a damn clutch first because that thing was rotten and it freaking broke. And I am not going to tackle those wires today because I do not have the stuff out of here I need to do it correctly. Okay, well, she's over there trying to fix my life with my Facebook upload because apparently Facebook doesn't like me. I'm going to get back to working on this motorcycle. Where was I? Where I do not know. Evil Facebook overlord has conspired to distract me and disrupt my thought process. Hate it when that happens. I suppose I need to go ahead and hang the brake master cylinder back on here. That way we can lock it. Brake line. Front brakes are kind of important, yo. Where is my clamp half? There's my clamp half. So, if you're new to Harley, especially dealing with Harley hand controls, or if you're just lucky enough that you haven't had it happen to you yet, here's something that you might want to start doing anytime you got a brake master cylinder off. I know to a lot of people out there, this may be old hat, but we got a lot of newcomers here, and that's what we're trying to do, is to educate and help people learn. Now, if you look, here on the brake master cylinder, if I can get around there, right there, it's got that little tab. That's connected to the brake lever, and what that does is that operates your front brake light switch. Now, that's where the pitfall is. Because of how this sticks out, if you don't really pay attention when you're putting this master cylinder back on the handlebars, that little tab, it will hit the plunger of the brake light switch, and especially on bikes that are 1996 or newer, or somebody that's converted over to the 96 and up style hand controls, it will break the tip of that thing off just about every time. And then your front brake light switch is stuck on all the time, and everybody thinks that your brake lights are on all the time. So what you do, take a little piece of cardboard, pull the lever back, and you stick that cardboard in there like so, to where it holds the lever back. You can see it's not holding it back much, but it holds it back enough to where it keeps that out of the way, and it keeps it from getting hung up on the tip of that little plastic plunger on the front brake light switch. That way you don't break it when you stick the thing back in. And yes, I will freely admit, I have done that. I've done that a few times before because I'll get sidetracked, I'll get aggravated, I'll get mad, I forget, and then reality check time, I'm buying a brake light switch. My beloved wife, just informed me that she has fixed my digital life on Facebook and the rest of social media because apparently I am too dumb to be able to do it on my own. Me and Facebook had a disagreement earlier today. It's resolved now. So what you do is you put your master cylinder in place, and as long as you get the bolts on it hand tight where it'll hold itself in place and not flop around on the handlebar, you're good to go. After that, you can remove your tactical piece of cardboard that you installed as a helping hand.
We were going to finish the video on Dirtster Jr. over here, aka
Editor, Barnacle Boy.
Joe's even got it. Joe's even
Express.
got it. The Tetanus Express. I like that.
Man, we've had so much shit that we've called that thing over the past couple of weeks, we kind of lost track.
Well, this video isn't exactly ending where we thought it was going to, but Mother Nature, life, and everything has other plans. But it is ending on a good note, a positive note, a growing note, even though this is coming out on the Shade Tree Surgeon channel. The next Joe the Mountain Jedi video on the Barnacle Boy will be coming out on the Joe the Mountain Jedi YouTube channel.
For those of you guys that's on my Patreon, you may have seen the little snippet clip I put up last night and everything. Got a hurricane rolling through town. Little Debbie's bringing rain and a lot of blow along with her. What are we going to do? Well, guess what? We're going to go out and work in the garage and get it set up to where we can start filming over at my place, okay? Makes perfect sense. I figured why not double down on the dumb? We were doing electrical work in the middle of it last night anyway. So what we're doing is we're going to move everything with Ramwood parked over to my garage at the house because it's time, I mean, it takes me an hour to get to work and then it takes me another another hour to get out here. I mean, it's a 100-mile drive round trip whenever me and him want to get together and try to film something, and it's easier this
It's
way.
not conducive to making the content. It's not conducive to getting it out there, Joe. And anybody who does YouTube or makes videos, does anything, and also has a real job, which most of us do, got to be able to chip away on it every night. And it just, like I said, a 100-mile round trip just ain't making sense. That doesn't mean we aren't going to collaborate on stuff. That doesn't mean we aren't doing stuff. We still got the GT750 Bo Suzuki build that we're going to do, and several other things I don't want to say yet because they're still semi-secret squirrel. If you're on the Patreon, you'll find out early. We got a lot of stuff that we're still going to be collaborating on, but for now, with the Patreon and people waiting on Daddy Dirt, Barnacle Boy to get done, it makes more sense for Joe to have it at his house. I'm going to be going over there, showing him some editing tricks so he can edit his videos himself and making sure that putting the right foot forward and getting awesome stuff done, because he shared so much knowledge with me on how to fix bikes. It makes sense to share a little bit of my editing knowledge, which again is maybe not the best, but at least it's better than nothing, maybe.
Well, I mean, it's a two-way street, brother. I mean, how do you make a grilled cheese? You got to butter both sides of it.
That's where we're going to about end this one. We'll have a link to the new Joe the Mountain Jedi YouTube channel and a pinned comment in the description. Make sure you go over there, subscribe, show my man some support. He is making all of this content 100% for free if you don't count the Patreon, which as always is completely optional and very much appreciated for all you guys who are helping out Joe on his Patreon over there. But this is free content, so if you don't mind, give him a subscribe, throw a like on his video over there, and get ready for more.
I appreciate it greatly, folks. Look forward to seeing you in the comments over on the new channel. Basically, let's see what we can do when we're left unsupervised. So don't pay it no mind if you see me running around and shopping a pair of flip-flops, and because that's just how I roll.
We'll see you over there.
It ain't got no gas in it.